Hello guys! Yep, I'm going to talk to you about Donald Trump today. I wish I didn't have to do it again, but I do. Because again, he's gone and done something really, really, really stupid and... This is probably one of the worst policy decisions he has ever made. He is such a damned idiot. But you want to know what he's done? Well, this is all relating to our little spat with the Kurds and the Turks and President Putin and Bashar al-Assad. Right, let's start from the very beginning before I confuse the crap out of everyone. Okay, firstly we need a little history. Right, first of all we need ISIS. Right, ISIS, ISIL, dash, ICE. ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. ISIL, Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. If you want to know where the Levant is, it's a collection of countries in the Middle East. Just go and look it up yourselves. ICE, IS, Islamic State, dash, an acronym for, forgive my pronunciation here, Al-Dawla Al-Islamiyya Al-Iraq Al-Sham, which again, translated, just means Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. I call them Daesh, as do most people, because they find it highly offensive. So we prefer to call them Daesh, and I'm going to call them Daesh throughout this video because it's easier to say than ISIL, Islamic State. Just Daesh will do, okay? While they were really prominent in the Middle East, their home was Raqqa. Their main stronghold was Raqqa in Syria. A while ago, they were causing absolute terror across the Middle East. They were also kidnapping and beheading people. One of the worst things they were doing, which I found absolutely horrific, and I'm sure most people would, is what they were doing. They were, if I can explain this, they were making a video, they were beheading someone, and then saying the person who was doing the beheading was the next person who was going to be beheaded, if that makes any sort of sense. Two of the people they beheaded were James Foley and Stephen Sotloff, who were freelance journalists, and John Cantley, who was kidnapped at the same time. He's still being held a hostage. We hope he's still alive. We haven't seen a lot of him. We saw him in a couple of, they were using him in a some propaganda videos, but we don't actually know his current state at the moment, other than we think he's still alive. What his condition is, though, God knows. America needed help in fighting Daesh, so they asked for help from the PKK, YPG, SDF, call them what you want. Again, a lot of acronyms there. We'll go with the SDF. The Syrian Defence Force. Please don't confuse them with the Syrian army, they're somebody different. We'll get to that in a minute, actually. They gave America the help they needed. The Kurds gave them the help they needed and drove Daesh back. Afterwards, the Americans stayed to protect the Kurds in northern Syria by staying on the border and also not only protecting the Kurds, but keeping the Turkish out. Now, Donald Trump, on a whim, or unless he's been given some sort of incentive from the Turks, which I'll get to in a minute, has decided we ain't doing that anymore. It's just like, we don't want to be involved in these pointless wars. And he's moved America. Now, I keep hearing conflicting things about this, so anyone, Bill or anyone else, if you can correct me on this, I'd like to know. I keep hearing different things. First, I hear Trump's moved the Americans back. Then I hear they moved out altogether. And then I keep hearing they moved back again, or again, they've left Syria altogether. I don't know which it is, but let's just say they're no longer on the border where they were. They are no longer on the border in northern Syria where they were. Yeah? Which has given the Turks a free rein to go in there and just slaughter them. Because basically what they want to do is get the Kurds out of there and replace them with Arab Syrian refugees in a sort of resettlement thing. So they basically want to do some ethnic cleansing and get the Kurds out of there. Simple as that. And Trump has just gone and let them do it. Now the problem with this is the Kurds fought for them and lost 12,000 people doing it. And they just let Turkey go in there and slaughter them. What a twat! No one understands why he's done this. The only thing we can think of is that Turkey's given him some incentive to do this. We'll get on to that in a minute. Right, the Kurds have now to get some help from either Russia or Bashar al-Assad. The Kurds are now going to be integrated into the Syrian army so that they can go up to the border and stop the Turkish getting in. Now the Kurds were also guarding some ISIS prisoners, but some of them escaped because obviously they can't guard the prisoners and fight the Turks at the same time. It's absolutely impossible. You know, so yeah, some of the ISIS fighters have escaped, which means they're going to come over and they're going to start the whole damn thing all over again. The fact that Trump has allowed this to happen has been condemned by everyone, including the Arab League, who are not happy with this, and quite rightly so. The consequences of this are pretty insane. Let's start with Trump. As I said, as he allowed them to go and slaughter people 12,000 who were lost trying to defend him, but also he's given Turkey responsibility for a lot of war crimes that are going on. So far, 4 ambulance crews have gone missing. And a woman who was there, I think who was a politician, who was just trying to get them all together, just doing a bit of peacekeeping and everything, was actually literally dragged out of her car and shot. And there's Turkey. Turkey. Now, here we go. Turkey, what did Turkey offer him? Did they say, oh, you do this for him, you can have a beautiful, beautiful Trump Tower, really tall, tallest one in Turkey you can have. If you do this for us, I would not be at all surprised. The only problem we have with this is, and this is how weird Trump's brain is. Now, I don't condone anything Trump does. I must make that clear to you because, as you know, I'm a pacifist and I just think some of the stuff he comes out is awful. Right, but I'm just trying to make you understand how his mind works, right? He has just condemned the Turkish and said, oh, right, I'm going to put economic sanctions on the Turks and they will be bigger economic sanctions that I'm going to put on Turkey. Now, if they've just gave him some incentive by saying, we can give you some business deals here and make you a big Trump Tower and all this stuff and put it in Turkey and everything, wouldn't that be contradictory to him actually giving him economic sanctions? Wouldn't the economic sanctions actually ruin whatever business deals they've just given him? Or they're willing to make with him? How the hell would that work? Turkey's membership of NATO has always been a very, very sore point. A lot of people think they should be kicked out. I, for one, agree. However, there are reasons why this will be a bad idea just before we go nuts and say, yeah, kick them out, kick them out. There are reasons why it probably isn't a good idea. One of them being it could draw them into the arms of Russia. And one of the bigger ones, and one of the biggest doozies of all this is simply they've been having a long-standing tiff with the Greeks. The Greeks and the Turks do not like each other. They have been having long-standing tiffs for a long, long time. And the problem is, if the Turks are out of NATO and the Greeks are in NATO and the Turks attack the Greeks, that means the Greeks can invoke Article, whatever it is, Article 5, which clearly says an attack on one is attack on all. Which means basically we will be probably into World War III. Yeah. So that's not a good idea. However, in the case of this, if Syria, even though they're in NATO, come to NATO and say, give us a hand, we're being attacked, NATO should actually turn around to the Turks and tell them where to shove it, because Turkey is the aggressor here. It doesn't matter if the Kurds are attacking them, Turkey is the aggressor here. Therefore, NATO should quite rightly say we can't invoke Article 5. Sorry, goodbye. Sort your own problems out. You started this. Sod off. The NATO chief has actually asked Turkey to act with restraint. Sorry. I'm sorry. Turkey? Act with restraint? Please. When did that ever happen? Right. Russia and Iran are probably really happy because Iranian-backed militia could gain some ground, and on top of that, it makes not the US so much, but Trump look very, very, very weak in the same way that, as Jonathan Pye pointed out, Theresa May looks weak when she's selling arms to Saudi. Oh yes, speaking of Saudi, yeah, we'll get to them in a minute as well. So I have a few questions. Firstly, why is Trump trying to lay sanctions on a country who he green-lighted in the first place? Yeah, forget the economic deals. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But just on its own, this doesn't make sense. Why is he sanctioning someone who is only doing this because he let them do it in the first place? Right. And it's a complete waste of time because Turkey have said the sanctions aren't going to stop him. Erdogan's called it an operation. Now, we've got to be careful with this. It's not an operation. It isn't. We know it isn't because it's a partial invasion. That's what it is. It is a partial invasion. It's ethnic cleansing and a partial invasion. We know. It is. So saying it's an operation is a bit, yeah, it's a bit ambiguous. And they've told Europe and NATO that if they call it an invasion, Turkey are going to lump all their refugees and just dump them on the rest of Europe. Thanks a frickin' bunch, Erdogan. Thank you very much indeed. And by the way, if I'm pronouncing Erdogan's name wrong, I'm sorry. I've heard it pronounced so many different ways. Erdogan. I don't know which is right, so I'm sticking with Erdogan. If that's wrong, I do apologise. Secondly, why is Trump lying about the Kurds? And he is lying about the Kurds because Trump has said that the reason those refugees escaped is because the Kurds deliberately let them go so that they could come into Europe, start the whole terrorism thing again to try and drive Europe into this war as well. What a load of... What was it Tom Baker once said? Empirical poppycock. That was it. Yeah, it is. This is nonsense. As I've said, the only reason they escaped is because they can't do two things at once. Why is Trump having to let the Kurds get slaughtered, but he's sending troops in to look after the Saudis who killed a journalist? Yes, dear old Kamal Khashoggi, you poor man, and then tried to deny that it had ever happened, and the Crown Prince trying to pretend it never happened. Sorry? His priorities are really screwed up. The clear thing here is simple. This is an invasion, and he has literally turned his back on the Kurds and stabbed them right in the front. Stabbing them in the back was actually inviting Erdogan to the White House. He's literally stabbed them in the front. You have betrayed your allies. How dare you? Honestly, how dare you do that? And then he has the audacity to say that they are worse than ISIS, even though they defeated them. Okay, we need to think about language here. First of all, if he's saying that they are tougher than ISIS, then he does have a point, because they actually defeated ISIS. So yes, of course they're tougher than ISIS. Right? They defeated them, for crying out loud. Right? But if he's saying they are worse than ISIS in regards to the way they behave, that is terrible. Because they're not. Right? As far as I know, the Kurds never beheaded any journalists. Or locked people up in cages. And chained them up like animals in cages. In orange suits. The Kurds have never ever done that. Okay? So anyone who tells me the Kurds are worse than ISIS, go away. Right. And just to show you some of the other stupid things Trump has said about this, I didn't give Erdogan the green light. Yes, you damn well did. I warned the Kurdish FDF leader not to open the prison doors and let the prisoners escape. Well, he didn't. He did no such thing, and he didn't. They didn't let them escape. They, as I said, ran away themselves because they couldn't do two things at once. The Kurds are much safer now. What? The Kurds are much safer now? The Turks are just going to come in and slaughter them and they're much safer? The only place that this place is safe for now is the Turkish. What? Ah, dear, 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 dear. And my favourite, and I hope Bill doesn't mind that I've just translated a few of his tweets onto here. Right. But this was the best one. When I saw Bill tweet this, I thought this was absolutely hysterical. It's so funny. Because A, it makes no sense, and B, it's just stupid. And it's funny, right? Probably my favourite one of all the quotes of Trump today has got to be this. If Syria wants to fight for their land, that's up to Turkey and Syria. Okay, so far so good. But then he said, Syria may have some help with Russia, and that's fine. Again, nothing wrong with that. But then he said, it's a lot of sand. They've got a lot of sand over there. So there's a lot of sand they can play with. So a Scarborough, your point. Why is he reiterating the fact there's a lot of sand in the Middle East? There's a lot of sand in the Sahara as well, your point. I don't see why that's relevant. Honestly, I really wish Trump would engage what brain he has, tiny as it is, before opening his sodding great gob. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make with all this is basically that this is nothing short of a betrayal to the Kurds. He's basically stabbed them in the back. And what possible reason he could have is beyond most of us, and all I can say is to the Kurds, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what he's done. The sooner this guy's impeached, the better, basically. So to the Kurds, you are in my thoughts, okay? I'm going to go and calm down now.